Hello, welcome to our lesson 8. This week we're learning self-reliance. I hope you have had a good past week and are ready to learn and grow some more. So we will have self-reliance as our topic, so you'll see here our objectives to understand the meaning of what it means to be self-reliant and then to be able to apply the principles of self-reliance. So use self-reliance in our life. And the third one is a study skill of reading rate, so speed at which you read. So just to start out, I want to read this quote from Sister Julie Beck. We become self-reliant through obtaining sufficient knowledge, education, and literacy. And I love that first sentence because all of you are meeting that first thing that she mentioned. You are becoming self-reliant by just being in the Pathway program because you're working to obtain an education. And we'll look this week at the other types of self-reliance, like managing money and resources, being spiritually strong, preparing for emergencies and eventualities. So that's like having food storage, emergency preparedness, and having physical health and social and emotional well-being. I think sometimes we don't think of those things as being self-reliant, but there's many different categories of self-reliance. Too often we think of money and are self-reliant in providing for our means, but there's much more to it. And that's something that I love. I want to show you, we'll talk a little more about those different categories when you do the application activity. So I'm going to walk you through just what you need to do. It will, you're going to read a section from a pamphlet, and it's going to show you these 6 areas of self-reliance. And thinking of those and keeping those in mind, you're going to set a SMART goal. Once again, we've done a SMART goal in the past, and we're going to do another one. Just remember, it needs to be following the guidelines, and it needs to follow these characteristics. It needs to be specific, something you can measure, attainable, meaning I can reach it, it's possible, it's relevant, important in your life, and time-bound. You have a time with when you're going to try to finish that goal. And so what you need to do is think about and choose, it says here, one of the 6 areas. So maybe as I look at those 6 areas, I think, you know what, home food storage is an area that I'm not very self-reliant in. Maybe we don't have much because it's hard. It costs extra money and time to prepare it. And that actually is an area that I feel like I'm always needing to get better at. So I'm going to set a goal. You might feel like your health might be an area. Maybe you don't have time or haven't set aside time to exercise or to eat healthy and prepare your foods. That is a form of self-reliance. So pick one of the categories and then set your SMART goal to help you be better in that category of self-reliance. Then next week in lesson 9 is where you'll report, in your learning report, how that goal went. So set that goal and then work on it and making sure that you're trying to become more self-reliant. Then you're going to write a letter to yourself. So pretend like you're writing to yourself in the future. Maybe in 5 years, what would you say to yourself? And encourage yourself on how to become self-sufficient in that area. Maybe I'm trying to be more self-reliant in finances, and so I give some tips to my future self of what I could do and what I did do to help become more self-reliant. A reminder that it says to write it in the word processing software. This helps you catch mistakes in spelling and grammar, punctuation. And here's one thing I will be following when I grade is to make sure it's at least, so it needs to be 4 sentences at the minimum. The shortest amount is 4 sentences. And so 4, 5, or 6 sentences long. And you need to make sure that these 3 things are included in that letter. And that was the application activity for this week. I hope that's clear. Let me know if you have questions. The last thing I want to let you know is just a little English tip, something I've noticed in our grading your assignments and things. A lot of time your content, that means like the information you're talking about, whether it's about an article you read or something in your life, is great. The thing that we can work on is how we communicate that in our writing. And so one thing I've noticed, and I'm going to pull this up, and as I do, I'll hide myself so it's not so distracting, is And it can be confusing, so I hope this is clear. I'll try to make it succinct and clear and short. When we singular means we're just talking about one person. And there are times when either I'm talking or I'm talking about someone else. And that's why we have tense, the point of view, and they call it first person, second person, or third person. My sentence is in first person if I'm using the word I. And if I'm using the word I and talking about something happening right now in the present, then I would say I am. So my verb is am. So maybe my sentence is, I am happy today. Okay? I'm talking about me, so that's why it's in first person, I. Am is the word I will use because it's happening right now. So in present, I'm going to write now. Okay? Today. Past, maybe yesterday will be my sentence. Yesterday, and I'm still talking about myself. Yesterday, the verb I'll use is was. Yesterday, I was sad. Okay, so I'm not going to use am because this is what it would look like. Yesterday, I am sad. It's not that. Okay, it's was. I'm going to take the yesterday I was sad. So I'm going to put here yesterday. That helps you. It could even be last week, sometime in the past. The future, I'm talking about something that hasn't happened yet. I'm just going to put not yet. So maybe I'm talking about next month. Next month, I am still talking in first person using I. This is the verb I would use. I will be going on a vacation. I will be going on a vacation. So there's my first person, because I'm saying I. That means I'm speaking in first person, talking about me. Here's my verb, will be. It wouldn't make sense to say next month I was going on a vacation, because was is for the past. Okay, so that is when we're talking in first person. I'm going to then show you just briefly. Second person is when you're just talking about you. I'm going to skip that one because it's not used as often. And I'm going to talk about, let me just delete these rows, he, she, or it. So for the sake of this, third person is when I'm talking about another person. So maybe I'm talking about my husband, Chaz, so it's he, because it's I'm going to put here, it's a man, okay? So I'm going to talk about him in these sentences. And if I'm talking right now, I'll tell you, right now, oh, this is big. Let's get it down a little small. Right now, he is sleeping, okay? He works nights, so he usually is sleeping when I'm awake. But right now, he is sleeping. I use the right now, I'm using is for my verb. He is. I would not use was, because that's for what happened already in the past. So not was, because it would say right now he was sleeping. It's happening right now. It's right now he is sleeping. If I'm still talking about him, I'm still in third person talking about another person, I would say maybe a sentence from something from the past. Yesterday or last week. That means the week before this week. Last week, he was sick. Maybe he was sick. So I'm using was as my verb. Okay? And it's not he is sick, because that means it's happening right now. It was last week. It's already over. He's better now. So I could even say right now, or today, we'll say today because that's present. Today, he is, using the is as the verb because it's present tense, he is better. Okay? Now I'm talking about something in the future. Maybe it's tonight. That's in the future. Tonight, he will be at work. So I'm using will be for my verb because it hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen tonight. He will be at work. Okay? And so you'll see that the verbs between when I'm talking about myself or someone else are the same when I'm talking in the past or in the future, but if it's in the present, that's where it's different. Do you see that? So it would not make sense for me to say, and let me just, if I'm talking about something right now, I'm talking about him, my husband, he am sleeping right now. Okay, that is the verb for when I'm just talking about me. If it was me sleeping right now, it could say, I am sleeping right now, and that's correct. But this is not correct because it's in third person, it's someone else. So it needs to be is. If it's I, like this, it can be am, and that's correct. Good. But this one needs to be he is because it's in third person. So that's just where it's different. So that's where I've seen a little bit. I know verbs can be tricky if you're talking about yourself or someone else, and depending on if it's happening now, yesterday, or tomorrow. I hope this was helpful and not too confusing, and if you need to replay this video or take a screenshot or even would like me to send this out, let me know if it's a helpful resource. Let me put my camera back on. Thank you for another wonderful week, and please feel free to reach out to me. I want to be here to help you. If there are assignments that you haven't gotten in and you're worried about your grade, please let me know and we can see which ones you're missing and see if we can at least get some partial points for submitting it. If there's some that you did incorrectly and I've asked you to fix it and resubmit it, please do that, or let me know if you have questions about one of those so that we can get you those points and get you to have a good grade in this class. So have a wonderful week, and once again, thank you so much for everything I learned from each of you. And we will talk to you next week. Bye.